Hi everybody, and thank you for joining me in this short video presentation regarding catheter ablation of atrial tachycardia after previous AF ablation. I hope you will enjoy it and join me in my future video presentations. The patient is a 78-year-old man with persistent atrial fibrillation who had a previous AF ablation and was referred with a diagnosis of right atrial flutter for catheter ablation to our center. Here we see the baseline ECG of the patient, which really looks like a typical cavo-tricuspid isthmus-dependent atrial tachycardia. Cavo-tricuspid isthmus-dependent atrial tachycardia is the least common type of macro-reentrant atrial tachycardia encountered during or after persistent AF ablation. A 12-lead ECG may show the typical morphology of the tachycardia. However, after extensive left atrial ablation, like in our patient, the reliability of the 12-lead ECG in diagnosing this kind of macro-reentrant atrial tachycardia is severely impaired, and therefore standard activation and entrainment mapping should be performed to rule in or out cavo-tricuspid isthmus-dependent atrial tachycardia irrespective of the morphology of the flutter waves on the 12-lead ECG. Focal source atrial tachycardias are common after AF ablation, accounting for up to 55% of all post-AF ablation atrial tachycardias in different series. Among these, localized reentry, as in our patient, is the most common atrial tachycardia mechanism, in one study representing 75% of focal atrial tachycardias. The preferential region for focal source atrial tachycardia are the pulmonary vein ostia, the left septum, and the mouth of the left atrial appendage. A fragmented electrogram spanning over 50 to 75% of the tachycardia cycle length is suggestive of the site of localized reentrant circuit. The yellow arrow shows the site of termination of the tachycardia, and on the right side we see the electrogram and ECG during catheter ablation and termination of the tachycardia. Once again, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this short presentation, and I would like to invite you to visit my website for more case presentations.